Anna from Cask and Quill. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in July. Now I realize it's like the middle of August now and I probably should have gotten around to this before, but I had a few unexpected things come up in my life recently which needed my attention, so I'm only getting around to this now, you know, half a month later. And that's okay. Believe it or not, I actually read 16 books in July, which is kind of insane, but kind of cool because my birthday was actually on the 16th of July, so it fits. Since I did read so many books, in the interest of saving a little time, I'm just going to run down the list and let you know what I read this past month, as well as let you know which books I read for both of the read-a-thons that I participated in towards the end of the month. The first book that I read was Who is the Black Panther, which is a graphic novel about the Marvel character. I actually picked that up just on a whim one day and actually really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it to anyone who is also a fan of Marvel Comics, especially since the accompanying movie will be coming out pretty soon. Right after I put that one down, I picked up Attack on Titan Volume 1. Again, kind of on a whim. I had heard that it was good and decided to check it out for myself. I did enjoy it, not quite as much as I expected to, but I would like to continue with the series just to kind of see what ends up happening. And continuing on with the graphic novels, I moved right into Swamp Thing Volume 1. The Saga of the Swamp Thing is a series of 6 graphic novels, which I've been meaning to read for quite some time. I've talked about them before on this channel. Alan Moore is the author of those, and I've probably talked about him as well. He's an absolute brilliant, crazy genius, and I am totally in love with Watchmen and V for Vendetta, so I really was excited to dive into Swamp Thing, knowing that I had already heard a lot of great things about that one as well. Next, I finally picked a book up off of my TBR list, which was Under the Tuscan Sun. I really did enjoy that one, and as I've mentioned before on this channel, it was hilarious to me how different the movie and the book were, but I actually really enjoyed both as separate entities. I'm excited. I have a little bit of a Under the Tuscan Sun dinner party coming up, and I will certainly be showing you all of the details about that once that's gone on. Since I was able to finish so many books right away in the month, I decided to read one of the books that I had been saving for the Booktube-a-thon 2017 read-along. I had chosen to read The Hate You Give by Angie as a fulfillment for one of the reading challenges, but I decided to just read it right away because it was available from the library right then, and I thought that if I didn't check it out right then and there, that it wouldn't be available for me again in time for the Booktube-a-thon to actually begin. The Hate You Give was a book that had a lot of hype surrounding it, and I had heard many good things about it. I really did enjoy it, not quite as much as I had expected to. There were a few things that distracted from the story a little bit for me, but overall I loved the family dynamic and the story in general. And also, I thought all the dialogue was just amazing. If you haven't managed to get your hands on a copy of this yet, I would highly recommend it. And if somehow you have not yet heard about this book, please do check it out. I woke up early one Saturday morning to find that my friend Kat was participating in a read-a-thon called the 24 and 48 read-a-thon. I had never heard of this before, but I was like, you know what? I don't have anything else going on this weekend, so why not spend 24 hours reading? I had a lot of fun doing it, and by the end I think I was finally starting to get sick of reading, if that's even possible. And it was actually the day, it happened the 2 days right before the Booktube-a-thon was to begin, which I don't know why I decided that was a good idea, but somehow I made it through and it was fine. By the way, Kat is one of my favorite people on Instagram. She has an amazing Bookstagram account, and I will put her handle below in the description box. You should definitely go check her out and maybe follow her. For the 24 and 48 read-a-thon, I didn't really have in mind anything that I wanted to read in particular, so I just decided to pick up things that interested me right at the moment. There wasn't anything on my TBR that I had left to read that I wasn't already planning to read during the Booktube-a-thon, so I thought I would just pick up whatever struck me at the moment. That ended up being Grimm's Fairy Tales. I had a lot of fun reading back through those. It's been a long time since I've read those, and it was just really fun revisiting a lot of those little stories. And actually, the second book that I decided to pick up was The Woodcutter. I had no idea going into it what it was about. I just kind of thought the cover looked interesting, and it ended up being about retellings well, sort of retellings, but in a certain way it ended up being about many of those same traditional fairy tales, and I couldn't believe it. It was just such a weird coincidence, and it was actually so enjoyable to have just read the originals and then have that fresh in my mind for reading this sort of retelling or adaptation. I highly recommend this book if you haven't heard of it before. I found it on Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, that's where I got it. You can do a free trial of Kindle Unlimited if you want, I think for like a month or something. Be careful to cancel it at the end if you want to cancel it, because it sneaks up on you really fast. But if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and it's just a really fun, quick read. Obviously, I got done with it in a day because I was reading it for this 24 in 48 read-a-thon. But even so, I found the story to be a really fun and magical fantasy book. The last two books I read for the 24 in 48 read-a-thon were Othello, which needs no further explanation, and Committed by Elizabeth Gilbert. I picked that one up just kind of again on a whim because I enjoyed, as you may know, Eat, Pray, Love, which I read earlier this, when was that, June? May? Sometime recently. Really liked that, and then thought that I would really enjoy this one too. It's sort of a non-fiction tale of hers about marriage and the history of marriage and stuff like that. It was actually pretty interesting. After the booktubeathon, I actually found that I had a little extra time to read one more book that month. So number 16 was Big Magic, also by Elizabeth Gilbert. I was just kind of in the mood to continue with her style of writing, and I really found that one to be interesting. It wasn't necessarily as good as I expected it to be, but I really liked it. It was sort of about living New York creative life. It was definitely right up my alley in terms of being a book about writing or just creative living in general. I would definitely check it out if you're interested in that topic. Again, it was a really fast and fun read, and for me, since I had liked her other books, I just thought it was a no-brainer. For Booktubeathon 2017, I mostly stuck to my TBR that I'd created. I'll post a link to that video below, but I did make one change. As I mentioned, I ended up reading The Hate You Give a lot sooner in the month than I had expected, so I replaced that one with Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. And then as planned, I ended up reading Miss Marvel, the graphic novel, which I ended up loving. Short stories from Hogwarts of Heroism, Hardships, and Dangerous Hobbies by J.K. Rowling. Lumberjanes Volume 1, also a graphic novel, and then also two more graphic novels, the Saga of the Swamp Thing, Volumes 2 and 3. Then, as I mentioned, if you watched my TBR video, I read Romeo and Juliet along with my Shakespeare book club on Instagram. Again, if you are interested in checking it out, you can look it up through hashtag ShakeIt2017. I read a ton of books, as you can see, in July, and if I had to pick some standout favorites, I would say that it was really fun to get back to reading some classics with Giovanni's Room. I really enjoyed that story. This is only the second thing I've read by James Baldwin, the first being The Fire Next Time, but I think both are absolutely great and I would highly recommend both to anybody. As I mentioned, Miss Marvel was so great. Please do check it out if you like superheroes or comics or graphic novels or anything like that. Even if you don't, just give it a try. My final favorite of the month was definitely Swamp Thing Volume 3. I really enjoyed the first two as well, but something about the third one was just above and beyond. Definitely check out the Saga if you are interested. So that's it, 16 books that I read in July. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these books and if you enjoyed them, and I will see you next time. Bye!